Devotees, this is Revati from Atlanta, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Revati Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Krishna Guru Maharaj. Thank you, Mataji, for joining this session and also nicely reciting Bhagavad Gita Chapter 4. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Is there anyone else who would like to introduce themselves?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Danvat Pranam, and I am Manmohan from India, and I got this link through Sukara Prabhu Dasaji, and I just heard the recitation of Bhagavad Gita, and it was so nice, and it's so pleasurable to be in this group. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I didn't get your name, I forgot.
My name is Manmohan Agarwal.
Manmohan. Okay, Manmohan Prabhu. Thank you very much for joining from all the way from India. And thank you very much for joining the Bhakti Sangha Japak group.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, are you new to the group?
I'm very much new to the group. I think I got this link from Sukhakara Prabhu Dasaji from Chennai.
Okay.
And he forwarded me this link and he told me to join. Yeah.
Thank you. Welcome to the group. Hari Bol.
Hari
Bol. Mataji, Danvat Pranam to all the devotees.
Yes, Danvat Pranam to you as well. And please join regularly every single day. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Komadiki Devi Das Mataji. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Danvat Pranams to all the devotees. This is Uma from Oregon, Portland.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you very much for joining the class. And please give your nice association. And please join regularly. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for joining.
Hare Krishna Komadaki Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj and all the devotees. This is Harita from Missouri City, Texas, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Harita Mataji, thank you Mataji for joining. And please accept my humble obeisances. And thank you very much for your association. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Dandavat pranams to you and all the assembled devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. This is Lalitangi Radha, Devi dasi.
Hare Krishna Lalitangi Radha Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and all the Vaishnava. Hare Krishna. Thank you Mataji for joining and giving you very valuable association. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Danvat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. This is Sita Priti Devi Dasi from Pune.
Hare Krishna, Sita Priti Mataji from Pune. Very welcome to the Bhakti Sangha Chapa class mid-morning. Thank you very much for joining. Hare Krishna. Is there anyone else who would like to join? Who would like to announce the name? So today's class will be given by Her Grace Lalitangi Radha Mataji on the topic of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, summary study of chapter 3. Hare Krishna, Lalitangi Radha Mataji. Please.
Hare Krishna Mataji, my humble obeisances to you. Is it audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Hare Krishna Mataji, can you hear me?
Komadiki Mataji will read the quote, Mataji. She'll finish reading.
Okay.
Mataji, please read the quote.
Yeah, Prabhupada.
It's there on the screen, Mataji.
On the screen. Oh, I have those things showing up. But today's quote is 5th December. If one purposefully commits mistake and sinful life, Now I am chanting Hare Krishna. I can do all sinful life. Hare Krishna. It will
Sorry, Mataji, please forgive me. That was yesterday's quote. I've saved both quotes together, so I messed up. Can you please read this one? Can you see December 6th?
yes. Thank you.
Please read this one,
Thank you.
Mataji. Sorry.
This the December 6th. Devotees, they are para dukha dukhi. The symptom of a devotee is they are unhappy by seeing others unhappy. Ahmedabad, December 6, 1972. So,
Krishna
to you,
Mataji.
Lalitangi Radha Mataji.
Hare
Oh,
Krishna
Dasi
Mataji.
Mataji.
Yes.
Thank you for joining.
Before we hand over, I would like to read an introduction of Sir Grace Lalitangi Radha Mataji. I know Mataji is not going to be happy reading introduction, but then we don't have a choice.
I'm not
We're
I'm
giving
not new
Mataji a
to
choice.
no, I'm not new to all of you. So
Sir
you
Grace
know why.
Lalitangi Radha Mataji is an initiated disciple of His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj. She was introduced to Krishna consciousness during her high school days in Coimbatore, India. So you can calculate the number of years she's been engaged in Krishna's service in this movement. So during her high school days, she attended a Bhagavad Gita contest and won a prize. And she went to Mayapur as a gift. And there she was inspired to chant 16 rounds. And she got eventually initiated by His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj back in 1993 in Mayapur. And she started attending temple programs and she became a very, very enthusiastic youth leader. So she was later engaged in some services in ISKCON Coimbatore under the guidance of His Holiness Bhaktivinoda Swami Maharaj, where she was involved in doing different outreach programs, temple festivals, college programs, cultural programs, and so on. So after her marriage in 2003, she came here and she served many congregations like ISKCON Silicon Valley, ISKCON Santiago in Chile, and Manchester, UK, in so many places, Canada, Charlotte, New Remuna Dham. So this goes on and on, the list goes on. So she's been a trendsetter, I would say, in conducting several reading calls of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam for different groups from time to time. She's known for her book distribution skills and her expertise in Bhagavad Gita. So oftentimes in Bhakti Sangha, we relate Bhagavad Gita is equal to Lalitangi Radha Mataji. So that's how we have been trained in Bhakti Sangha to know Bhagavad Gita means the expert is Lalitangi Mataji. And many of you may be aware of the 18-week Bhagavad Gita course that is being conducted by Lalitangi Radha Mataji in different forums that attracts hundreds and thousands of devotees. And this is not an exaggeration. Hundreds of students join every time she does a 18-week summary of, 18 chapters in 18 weeks. That's the series that she does. And she's also one of the main coordinators in Bhakti Sangha. She was one of the co-founders of this entire group. And she is known for her regular attendance in both early morning and mid-morning classes. And she serves as the backup speaker every time there is an issue on Bhakti Sangha. So that is a very big service that we all need. She is also known for her Madhava classes that she's been conducting. Madhava is for the youth. So the youth, teens and youth, she handles classes for them in Bhakti Sangha and in other forums as well. So I know this was a very small introduction, but now we'll hand over to the speaker and she can take over. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Preeti Vilasini Mataji. I mean, I don't know, it was a very big introduction for a small person, but it reminds me of so many things that I have had to do, but claim to have done. So thank you so much. And I'm very grateful for this wonderful forum of devotees that's run tirelessly by our dear Preeti Vilasini Mataji, Shama Gauri Mataji, Kirtida Mataji, Indu Mataji, Vinita Mataji, and many, many others. So tirelessly looking for speakers, making sure everything is done, everything is going live, it's recorded, and we are able to get this nourishment, spiritual nourishment, being at home. So can't be grateful enough for such a team to bring us this wealth of satsanga, sadhu sangha association from all around the world. So thank you so much for that, and humble obeisances to all the assembled devotees. Today we will do chapter 3. We will offer our prayers to Lord Krishna and acharyas, without whom we are completely lost. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Pada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंगायते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्यमीश्वरं। हरिः ओम तत्सत्। So we are in chapter 3 today, Karma Yoga. So ultimately, with everything, what to do is actions, right? So every chapter, if you see in one angle, is the most important chapter of Bhagavad Gita. In that way, all the 18 chapters are most important of Bhagavad Gita in one angle, in one subject matter, because it is done by the Lord, right? So it's full of nectarian philosophy. I mean, philosophy is usually dry from Vedantas or Upanishads, but Krishna is known for his touch of sweetness everywhere. So he has given this philosophy in a very nectarian way. So we saw how Arjuna was confused, and that was by the will of the Lord, and he didn't know whether to go left or right, because both seemed the right paths finally. And so he's surrendering to the Lord. Shishyasteham sadhi mam tvam prapannam. I surrender unto you. Now you tell me what is good for me. Then Krishna first pacifies Arjuna, who's shivering and shaking and crying because of this dharma sankata, that he's not able to know which dharma to perform. And he first gives the most basic, most important, and most inconceivable, and which is which we cannot do with, that basic knowledge of the soul or one's own identity. And in that, because that's the basic of everything, before worrying about what will happen to others and what will happen to me and the sinful reactions. So first, who am I and who are everyone else? So Krishna goes elaborately on that, trying to differentiate between the temporary material body and the eternal spiritual soul. And the second part of the second chapter is how to work with this knowledge, because just knowledge is not going to be useful. So how to work based on this knowledge is the application part. That is the second part of Bhagavad Gita, second chapter, and that is contents of the Gita summarized. So Krishna said, if you are situated like this at the time of death also, you will reach the kingdom of God. And, Arjuna had to get ready to fight. But fortunately for us, Arjuna continues the third chapter with this question. Arjuna uvacha jayasi chet karmanaste mata buddhir janardana tatkim karmani ghore mam niyojayasi keshava. Arjuna said, O Janardana, O Keshava, why do you want me to engage in this ghastly warfare if you think that intelligence is better than fruitive work? Because Arjuna, although Krishna said everything in the second chapter, it was like a summary. So everything was given in the second chapter. And so Arjuna seemed to be confused to what to follow and what action to perform. Imagine if 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita itself, we are not able to figure the head and tail of it. If it was only 2 chapters, I mean, no way we are lost. So Arjuna couldn't reconcile that how by working one can be renounced as well. So work and the spiritual knowledge, Buddhi Yoga and Karma Yoga, seem to be incompatible for him. By doing one, how can the other be achieved? Or rather, let's also go through the purports, important points in the purports. So why is Arjuna asking this question? Prabhupada is saying Arjuna also thought of Krishna consciousness or Buddhi Yoga or intelligence in spiritual advancement of knowledge as something like retirement from active life. Okay. In other words, he wanted to skillfully avoid the fighting by using Krishna consciousness as an excuse. So, many of us, I mean, including me, thought this. When I first attended this Bhagavad Gita course, I thought, let me leave everything and then completely dedicate myself, go to the temple and do only that, which is spiritual activity. But what is the difference is that as a sincere student, he placed the matter before his master and questioned Krishna as to his best course of action. What should I do? Why should I perform this ghastly warfare? Or otherwise, when I perform this war, how can it be Buddhi Yoga? That is his question. I mean, he cannot figure out. Then again he's clarifying, Vyamishreneva Vakyena by your equivocal instructions. Okay, because at one point of time, you're telling that Bhakti Yoga, Sankhya Yoga is the best. I couldn't understand what to do. At the same time, you say get up and fight. Whether I should dedicate my life completely to the spiritual activities, knowing that the soul, or should I fight and incur reactions? So this is his question. And why is he putting this question? For all students who seriously want to understand the mystery of Bhagavad Gita. And then Krishna is saying there are two classes of men. Lokesmin dvivida prokta pura pura prokta maya naga jnana yogena sankyanam karma yogena yoginam. So there is this jnana yoga and karma yoga. So jnana yoga means one who's trying to understand by empirical philosophical speculation, and others by devotional service. Jnana yoga is finding out on his own. Okay, Bhagavad Gita is the essence of all Vedas and Krishna is giving, but I want to go and see the Vedas, what is in it and what is not in it, what is matter, what is spirit, and by my endeavor of researching the Vedas and dedicating my life for that, let me find out. So that is more dependence on one's own analytical nature of studies, and this study is not like a material studies because it requires some disciplined life. So control of the senses, control of the mind. And devotional service or karma yoga is the same, but it is dependent on the Lord. Whatever the Lord says, I follow that. So both yogas are independent. This is Prabhupada's punchline here. Both yogas are interdependent as religion and philosophy. Religion without philosophy is sentiment or sometimes fanaticism. Well, philosophy without religion is mental speculation. So we can see if religion with no basics of sound philosophy becomes sentiment or to the extreme fanaticism, but just dry philosophy without connecting to the source of the philosophy. What are we supposed to do with the philosophy is mental speculation. So we will find this more in the Western philosophies. If you read the books of Greeks and Greek philosophers and others, I mean, it's a very good analysis, but what is the end point of it? We don't have. So this is the glory of Bhakti Vedanta. Bhakti is a conclusion and Vedanta is a knowledge. So Srila Prabhupada gives a conclusion of Bhakti through the knowledge of the Vedanta. So Prabhupada says that the whole process is to understand the real position of the self in relation to the super self. Not only self, but in relation to the super self. And after understanding that, what are we going to do? So Jnana Yoga is also purifying process, but it's indirect method as one depends on oneself. Here, Krishna consciousness is not depending on anything else because it itself is a purifying process. Nothing else external we need to do. So, and then he says, just by renouncing work, that's what Arjuna is saying, right? Just by renouncing work and going to the forest, would we achieve that? Krishna is saying, just by renouncing material work, one cannot achieve perfection. Why? Because everyone is forced to act helplessly according to the qualities he has acquired from the modes of material nature. Therefore, no one can refrain from doing something, not even for a moment. And Prabhupada explains, see, the body is dead. So he's saying it's not a question of embodied life, but it is a nature of the soul to be always active. Without the presence of the spirit soul, the material body cannot move. The body is only a dead vehicle to be worked by the spirit soul, which is always active and cannot stop even for a moment. Nahi kaschit shanamapi, even for a moment. So that means we have to do work. There's no question of engaging in something without doing work. So, but what work to do and how to do that work, he's explaining. Before he's explaining that, if Arjuna continues to take his decision that he wanted to renounce work and dedicate himself fully for spiritual activities, Krishna is saying that he might be termed as pretender, because without purification, if someone takes to sannyas or renunciation, what is he called? Mithyachara or pretender, one who restrains a sense of action but whose mind dwells on sense objects, certainly deludes himself and is called a pretender. So if we see, Krishna didn't want Arjuna to become a pretender, but Krishna knew Arjuna is not a pretender at all. But basically, he doesn't want any of us to become pretenders. That's why Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati also says, Dushta mana tumi kisera Vaishnava. Even while taking Bhakti Yoga, I mean, there is a high chance that we might end up doing Bhakti Yoga throughout the life being pretenders without much purification of the process from inside. So this is the difference between Sankhya Yoga and Karma Yoga or Buddhi Yoga, which is Krishna consciousness. So this is the direct path, while Sankhya Yoga is depending on one's own personal endeavor. And that's why there's no chance of this in this Kali Yuga at this point of time. You know, we can't even gather our lives to even do our material activities properly, with so much of distractions and so many things. I mean, where is a question of, you know, having depending on one's own personal endeavor? This is completely depending on Krishna's mercy. And also he says that there is because it is dependent on our own limited capacity and the way we execute things, it is not sure whether we will make it to success or not. But here in Bhakti Yoga or Buddhi Yoga, we are depending on the Supreme Lord, who is called Achyuta, who never fails and who never lets anyone who has taken his shelter fail. We may fail, but our shelter doesn't fail. So there is surety of success. Ultimately, Sankhya Yoga also has to come to surrender to the Lord, ultimately. Okay, that the means is different, the end is different, and the means is a purification. Okay, but here the means and the ends are the same. Means whatever we are going to do, we are doing now as a process, is the same thing we are continuing to do when we are perfect. So Krishna gives the higher ups of, how Buddhi Yoga is more relevant. And also he says one who is forced to work, and if he did not understand this nature and prematurely take sannyas, then we become pretender. I mean, that's why there is more God industry than a common man, because people are all want quick solutions, and there are people who want to give them quick solutions without, you know, going through the process. So we have to beware of this. Krishna is saying, beware of pretenders. I mean, others being pretenders and we ourselves losing this opportunity, being a pretender. And so what is he concluding is that niyatam kuru karmatvam karma jyayo hi akarmanaha. So niyatam kuru karmatvam. You please do your prescribed duty. It's better than not working. Sharira yatra pichate. Even to keep the body and the soul together. Okay? Na prasidyed akarmanaha. Without work, we cannot maintain. And we are not this body, but we are responsible to maintain this body properly. So we have to eat to maintain the body. And if we have to eat, then we need to cook, collect the ingredients. For that, we need to have some source of income, buying everything. For that, we need to perform work. So it says, Sharira yatra pichate, it will not happen if you don't work. So there is no question of not working. But how to work? So we cannot escape ourselves from work, but how to work? So that one can become free from bondage. Yajnartat karmano anyatra lokoyam karma bandhanah. Tadartam karma kaunteya mukta sanga samachara. Yajnartat karmano. Work done for yajna or for Vishnu, except for that work, anyatra. Everything other than that will karma bandhanaha, will put ourselves in bondage. So you work for his sake. Whose sake? For the sake of Vishnu, for the sake of yajna, and that way you will remain free from bondage. So Krishna is introducing a new theme here, that work for the sake of yajna or Vishnu. Okay, then he's further explaining how did this platform come about. So there are different yoga ladders in work itself. So first is animal life. Just based on impulses, the animals are running, no karma for them. A person living like that is no better than two-legged, is called two-legged animal. So at least better than that is whatever we want for sense gratification, look it up on Vedas, like look it up on Google, look it up on Vedas and do something that which we are allowed to do, and then refrain from something that will put you in trouble, put yourself into misery. So this is the first level, karma kanda. Then, I mean, one will get frustrated doing work for oneself only and enjoying the results, and then basically getting a good life next life or in the heavenly planets, and again being thrown and again like this, punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. So then they come to sakama karma yoga and nishkama karma yoga. Let me do these activities, but not being attached to the results, giving up the results of this work, and that way being peaceful. So then that comes to the platform of philosophical inquiry, that I have to supposed to do work, but when I renounce the results, I am happy. So who am I? And who am I? Why I have to work like this? Who is that person or that cause for which I have to renounce the results? So all these deliberations come as jnana yoga. And then when jnana yoga increases to the point of meditation, okay, constant meditation, why am I doing this? Who is this person? How can we connect it to that? That is dhyana or ashtanga yoga. Ashtanga yoga should culminate in dhyana or constant meditation of the Lord. But after, if we are meditating on the Lord, what are we supposed to do? He says, Aham sarvasya prabhavo mattaha sarvam pravartate. I am the source of both spiritual and material worlds. Now, what about that to you is that iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. So a person who has this knowledge puts this knowledge in practice. So starts to do something for that cause on which he is meditating. So these are the different yoga ladders that he's explaining here. And coming back to this yoga ladder, let's see what Srila Prabhupada says in the purports. So this work done for the sacrifice for Vishnu. Why? Why should we do work for Vishnu? And how come that work done for Vishnu will liberate? Because he's giving the reason in the next shloka. That is the text 10. What did Vishnu do? In the beginning of creation, the Lord of all creatures sent forth generations of men and demigods along with sacrifices for Vishnu and blessed them by saying, be thou happy by this yajna, sacrifice, because its performance will bestow upon you everything desirable for living happily and achieving liberation. We have gone on a vacation to a friend's home, and then they've given us a room like to stay, and then we come down to the living room. There is so many things that is there, but we will ask them permission, like, can I use the electric heater for getting warm water? Can I see this in the movie or this channel in the TV? Because they have it is their house and they have invited us, and so they have a blueprint of the house, and it's logical that we ask them what to do, what not to do. So we have not created this world, so we cannot dispute that Vishnu didn't create this world. So Krishna is telling Vishnu created this world, and he also sent men and demigods that you perform yajna and you live happily in this world. Not that this world is to live happily enough to do our main thing for which we came into this world, that is self-realization. Okay, what is this yajna? What is this men and demigods? And why are they created like this? What is a interlink that Krishna is saying here? The demigods, being pleased by all sacrifices, will also please you. And thus, by cooperation between men and demigods, prosperity will reign for all. So, who are the demigods? Okay, this is the beauty of Bhagavad Gita as it is. We can, with great faith, distribute it to anyone. Anyone who has no, you know, no history or no connection to any culture of this also, when they open and read the book, it will make sense, because Srila Prabhupada has written it for a complete layman. So he's explaining here, who are the demigods? They are empowered administrators of material affairs. Is it so? How come? So he's explaining the supply of air, light, water, and all other benedictions for maintaining the body and soul of every living entity is entrusted to the demigods, who are innumerable assistants in different parts of the body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So I'm born and I just started breathing. And then I see everyone living, and you look out, it's a beautiful midday sunlight. Even though it is cold December, the sunlight is so bright. And sun is, going on for many millions of years. God knows how many years we can only calculate by our tiny brain. And they can also not estimate how much more time, billions of years. The sun is an inexhaustible source. So who is giving all this? Air, light, water. Okay. So a person should think, what these are all given to me just randomly like that? Doesn't make sense. Nothing randomly happens in this world. Like you can see, if we don't clean the house, one pin also stays there for eternity. All Matajis can very well agree with this. So everything will move only when we are moving it. How come this whole natural resources, so-called, they're all there and then we are enjoying? No, we are indebted. It's like paying taxes. So he says, you perform yajna to them. And in the previous purport itself, you see, one purport of Prabhupada is enough to lead us from 0 to 100. So we have to perform yajna, but in this Kali Yuga, the best yajna is the Sankirtana yajna, along with offering of foodstuff. So we'll come to that soon. So here in 12th, he says that these devas, when we offer them yajnas, they are pleased to give us everything, and then we can continue to live. For Prabhupada, this is the very one of the, all purposes are genius, but this is so wonderful in this current context. In charge of the various necessities of life, the demigods, being satisfied by the performance of yajna, will supply all necessities to you. But if you or me, but he who enjoys such gifts without offering them to the demigods in return is certainly a thief. A person who doesn't pay taxes to the government is a thief. So then if you don't pay water tax, then there'll be warnings, and finally water will be cut off. Electricity will be cut off. So this is what Prabhupada is making this point. One should know, however, that all the necessities of life that the human society requires are supplied by the demigod agents of the Lord. No one can manufacture anything. Take, for example, all the eatables of human society. These eatables include grains, fruits, milk, vegetables, milk, sugar, etc. for the persons in the mode of goodness, and also eatables for the non-vegetarians like meats, none of which can be manufactured by men. This everyone has to accept. Then again, take for example heat, light, water, etc., which are also the necessities of life. None of them can be manufactured by the human society. Without a supreme Lord, there can be no profuse sunlight, moonlight, rainfall, breeze, etc., without which no one can live. Obviously, our life is dependent on supplies from the Lord. Even for our manufacturing enterprises, we require so many raw materials like metal, sulfur, mercury, manganese, and so many essentials, all of which are supplied by the agents of the Lord, with the purpose that we should make proper use of them to keep ourselves fit and healthy for the purpose of self-realization, leading to the ultimate goal of life, namely liberation from the material struggle for existence. Everything that is required for us to execute the process of self-realization is perfectly given by the Lord. We wanted to live, we have taken the material body, but how do we live? The Lord has made arrangements, and the demigods are the part and parcels of the Lord. They are empowered representatives in universal management, giving us these things. But if we are taking from them these things and we are not giving back them anything, then we are thieves. And he says, how can a society of thieves be happy and peaceful? And at the end of the discussion, this famous shloka comes, Yajna Shishta Shina Santo Muchyante Sarva Kilbishaihi Bhunjate Te Tvagam Papa Epa Chantyatma Karanat. Yajna Shishta Asina Santo, saints. Okay, the same word, saint, Santa Claus, and Los Angeles. Actually, it's all the names of saints. San Diego is Saint Diego. Saint Francisco, all the saint is gone, and even that holy name of that, saintly person is gone now. But these saints, no matter whichever religion they belong to, what they do, they eat food which is first offered for sacrifice. Yajna Shishta Shina Santo. Previously, he described who's Yajna, Vishnu, work for Vishnu. So the food which is offered to Vishnu becomes Yajna Shishta, or the food that is first offered for sacrifice. And Santaha, the saints who eat that, are the devotees, Muchyante Sarva Kilbishaihi. They are relieved from all sinful activities. But Bhunjatete Tvagam Papa, a person who's eating, who's cooking, Epachanti Atma Karanat. There is no question of non-vegetarian food here. Only vegetarian allowed food for the human being. Also, even if a person cooks, but he eats that without offering to the Lord, every mouthful is eating Tvagam Papa. Agam Papa is grievous sins, and they eat only sin. So, why this? If we perform this, so far he was describing about demigods supplying and we not giving anything. And then this is the one-stop solution. If we offer the food to the Lord, then we can see that all the demigods are automatically satisfied. Otherwise, previously, we are supposed to do, even 100 years before, it was common to do the Panchamaha Yajnas, early in the morning, and then to the sun, and then to the air god, to everyone. If we don't do that, then we have taken and we have not paid. And at this, it's a joke to know even about all this smoke detector everywhere. Even if we do an incense, the smoke detector goes off. Where is the question of performing yajna in a carpeted floor and things like that? So, if we are able to offer the food to the Lord every single day in our house with love and devotion, for the Lord to accept and we partake of the offering, then all the demigods are automatically satisfied by that, and all the yajnas that we are supposed to perform to the demigods are also covered in that. How is it covered? In the next 4 shlokas he's explaining. Yeah, so we see that how the demigods have given the gifts of nature, and then by offering food to Krishna, they are completely satisfied, and we are rid of the sinful reaction of not giving them anything in return. So this, and then in the next 4 shlokas, he explains the cycle of sacrifice. Who can tell what to do, right? Except for the Supreme Lord. So he is telling in the Vedas what to do and what not to do. So Supreme Lord, Vedas is coming from the Supreme Lord, and Vedas tell us what is the prescribed actions. And while we cannot run away from our karma, the idea is to do karma as a sacrifice, nothing for me. Then that brings the auspiciousness and even well-being as a side benefit. That raining clouds and food grains, living entities are subsisting of that food grains, and that food grains is offered to the Lord. So if by this offering process, this cycle of sacrifice is complete. If a person is taking here and is not offering food to the Lord, then the cycle of sacrifice is not complete, and then we are engaged in bondage again. So this is one reason why he's asking Arjuna to work. Annad bhavanti bhutani parjanyad anna sambhavaha. So we saw that how by the karma and the yajna and the rains are produced. And here also Srila Prabhupada defends that, we cannot either stop if the rain is going to pour down heavily like it happened. We can say it's an atmospheric river. California was battled. Now Chennai is underwater. Cars are floating like boats. Okay, we can't stop. Can we stop it? We can only do some relief actions. Okay, but we cannot stop. So rains is not in our control. At least that much human beings have to understand. So here he says, see, therefore, ultimately, we have to depend on the production of the field and not on the production of big factories. The field production is due to sufficient rain from the sky. Sufficient, not neither more nor less. And such rains are controlled by demigods like Indra, sun, moon, etc. And they are all servants of the Lord. The Lord can be satisfied by sacrifices. Therefore, one who cannot perform them will find himself in scarcity. This is the law of nature. Yajna, specifically the Sankirtana Yajna, prescribed for this age, must therefore be performed to save us at least from scarcity of food supply. You see, Srila Prabhupada started it. If we read so many books from about the 26 Second Avenue, he didn't have any idea how he will pay the next month's rent. Whatever book he got with a trunk full of book, he had sold in 1 year, and with that money he subsisted himself. But didn't Krishna provide? He just went to Tompkins Square Park and started singing for 5-6 hours. We can see in the video even his, for 5 hours continuously, his wean for a 70-year-old person, because he wants to just do the Sankirtana Yajna, and everything else came automatically. Whenever someone would say that, how do I do this project? You can imagine the 3 major projects, Vrindavan, Mayapur, and Bombay, to the scale with which it was built during the very few years when Prabhupada was there. I mean, it is simply, Prabhupada would say, just perform Sankirtana Yajna, there will be no scarcity. So, so he says this, if a person is doing the cycle of sacrifice, then he can find himself in peace, and a self-realized person who does this, okay, here a self-realized person has no purpose to fulfill in the discharge of his prescribed duties, no selfish purpose, no purpose to get good karma, no purpose for enjoying later. But nor has he any reason not to perform such work, because he is enthused to perform such work for the satisfaction of Vishnu, Yajna Shishta, and nor has he any need to depend on any other living being. For such a person, there is no duty, but still a self-realized person does duty, and gives the example of Janaka. Janaka did, he is a self-realized soul, but he did to show his subjects how to do and how not to do. Because we all look, like if I'm talking and I'm saying, touch your nose. And if I touch here, everyone will touch here only. So people, more than what they hear, they see what we do. So for this reason, he says that, please, Partha, you need to do your duties because people will follow you. Why? And he says himself that Name Parthasti Kartavyam Trishu Lokeshu Kinchana Nana Vaptam Avaptavyam Varta Evacha Karmani. There is no work prescribed for me within all the three planetary systems. For everyone else, there is work prescribed according to our social, physical conditions, Varna and Ashrama. But Krishna is beyond the three modes of material nature. Nor am I in want of anything, nor have I a need to obtain anything, and yet I am engaged in prescribed duties. That's what we find one chapter in Krishna book, Lord Krishna's daily duties. What does he do from the time he gets up in the morning at 3, and then how he does all the work, how he is the best husband, best father, then he goes to the assembly hall. The whole chapter is described. Why? Because he says that for if I ever failed to engage in carefully performing prescribed duties, O Partha, certainly all men would follow my path. Then I would be the cause to cause the ruination. So Krishna didn't need to perform work, but still he performs. Like we understand from the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is understood that Lord Krishna was performing all the religious duties at home and out of home as required of a householder. And he goes one step further to say, if I did not perform prescribed duties, all these worlds would be put to ruination. I would be the cause of creating unwanted population, and I would thereby destroy the peace of all living beings. Isn't this the humility of the Lord to tell this, who is the maintainer of everyone? And he takes it upon himself. If I didn't do, then everybody will say, oh, Krishna didn't do. Why should we do? Right? But Prabhupada gives so then can we say that, okay, Krishna performed Ras Leela? Can we do that? Can we imitate that? So Srila Prabhupada says, following and imitating are not on the same level. Some actions that Krishna performs is to show that his position is a superintendent of the jail. He's not one of the prisoners like us. Okay, such actions shows that he's complete control and he can break the laws, and he's still glorified for breaking the laws because he's not within the laws, because he's not one among us for us to ask him to follow the laws, right? So he did Ras Leela, but he danced with the spiritual bodies of the gopis when he was 7 years old, when there is no possibility of any lust in them. So he has condemned thoroughly the bodily concept of life. So how could he do something? Right? So that is to show his power as a controller. So we don't imitate it, but we follow. We can do Ras Leela if we can lift the Govardhan hill in our pinky and keep it for 7 days like that and then put it down. Then we can do this. So we cannot do that. So we are not supposed to imitate. Same way Lord Shiva drank the poison. So same way Garuda eats the snakes. The snakes that Garuda eats gets 4-handed form and gets liberated. Garuda doesn't have to be a vegetarian like us, right? So he comes and he says that he eats elephants and snakes. So they're all powerful. They shows the power of the Lord and the powerful nature of the Lord's servants. So Krishna says here,
that as the ignorant perform their duties with attachment to results, the learned may similarly act, but without attachment for the sake of leading people on the right path. So the consciousness is different. What the two people, Prabhupada is giving an example that they do the same work. One is in Krishna consciousness, one in material consciousness, and they have different destinations. So here he says that whatever action a great man performs, common men follow. And whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. So for this reason also, Arjuna, you have to act in a self in consciousness, being self-realized soul, but still you have to act. So we cannot imitate these powerful controllers, but we can follow in their instruction. So yeah, and then he's saying that two people who are working in the same work they're doing, but based on the difference of their consciousness, their consequences are different. A person who doesn't know the background of the action or his identity, or who decides that I have to do such action, anything, what he thinks is that I am the person who's doing this. So I get to choose the result. Right? So this is karmanyeva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. The moment this thing is told, people will run away from Bhagavad Gita because they think, why? I mean, I am doing the actions. Why am I not entitled to the results? To enjoy the results. Either it is considered that do your action and don't be attached to the results. No, without expecting a result, how can you do the action? Right? If a person is writing a exam, his aim is to get 100. Not that I don't care whether I get anything, I write the exam. That's not the point. So when we do action, we do the action with the best result. But the result we don't enjoy. That's what Krishna says. Why? Why shouldn't I enjoy when I am doing the action? Because not only I am the doer of the action. So there are 5 factors for it, for any action to take place. And so he says, never consider yourself the cause of the results of your action. So I am not the cause of the result of the action. And that's why I am not the person to enjoy the result alone. So I should not enjoy the result. So I should not do the activity. But he says, never be attached to not doing the work. Because of this. So the one shloka, but without bhakti yoga, without knowing our connection, and without, knowing the bliss of offering the results of the action as service to the Lord, how can one understand this? That do your duty, don't expect the results. So that is the reason, people don't want to open the book because of this misidentification. But Krishna says that when we offer the results to Vishnu or Yajna, then we are freed from from bondage, and not only that, we experience the higher taste. Param drishtva nivartate. More than we get. More than what the happiness that we get when we ourselves experience the results. So when one acts in ignorance, then the consequence is that he forgets the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But when a person acts for Krishna's satisfaction, knowing his real identity, knowing why he is engaging his actions and how to offer the results of his action to the Lord, is that he is not disturbed by all kinds of material reactions and considers all reactions to be the mercy of the Lord. And because of this, he is not very disturbed, elated when he gets something good, or when something unpleasant happens, he's gone. Because he knows that the Lord is my supreme well-wisher. He will never do something that is bad for me. So after all this knowledge as a package is explained, Arjuna is equally merciful on us like the Lord for the wonderful questions he asks. Although he is not, he's not a person for this, especially this question. Atakena prayuktoyam papam charati purushaha Anichan api varsneya balad iva niyojitaha. By what is one impelled to sinful acts, even unwillingly, as if engaged by force? We know everything, but still unwillingly we are engaged into sinful acts. So Krishna is saying, Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, Kama Esha Krodha Esha Rajo Guna Samudbhavaha Mahashano Mahapapma Vidyenam Iha Vairinam. There is this one enemy, Arjuna. What is that? It is lust only, Arjuna, which is born of contact with the material mode of passion and later transformed into wrath, and which is the all-devouring sinful enemy of this world. Now tell me, Arjuna, when he went to the the celestial planets, Indra sent Urvasi to him. Okay, because there is no such rules and regulations there. But Arjuna had such self-control. I mean, celestial beauty is not like this beauty. People would, I mean, just on the sight of that, all senses are gone, and then such a person is coming and offering to Arjuna, and Arjuna says that you are my mother. So he's not one. He proved that he's not one to be covered by lust, but he is telling us for our benefit. So the purport is so beautiful in this. Prabhupada is saying this. What is this lust? And what is its origin? Okay, I passed. Yeah, prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarva. So the Arjuna is so Prabhupada is telling lust is not a unusual artificial imposition of a embodied being, because everybody has love for Krishna, and that love for Krishna has changed into lust because of the contact of the modes of nature, especially the mode of passion. So Prabhupada says, if that lust, instead of being degraded to wrath by the mode of passion, becoming into the mode of ignorance, if it is put in the mode of goodness and then go further, then a person is relieved from this. The lust is transformed into love for Krishna. Such a beautiful purport. I'm not able to. This mouse is not working good. Okay. Anyway, maybe you can look it up. I wanted to show some. Yeah, he says, and Kamesha Krodesha. So Prabhupada is telling, when a living entity comes in contact with material creation, his eternal love for Krishna is transformed into lust. So what is love for Krishna? Krishna Indriya Preeti. So Krishna Indriya Preeti is prema. Nija Indriya Preeti is kama, in association with the mode of passion. Or in other words, the sense of love of God becomes transformed into lust as milk in contact with sour tamarind is transformed into yogurt. Then again, when lust is unsatisfied, it turns into wrath, and wrath is a transformation into illusion, and illusion continues the material existence. Therefore, lust is the greatest enemy of the living entity, and it is lust only which induces the pure living entity to remain entangled in the material world. So, wrath is a manifestation of the mode of ignorance. These modes exhibit themselves as wrath and their corollaries. If therefore the mode of passion instead of being degraded into the mode of ignorance, is elevated to the mode of goodness by the prescribed method of living and acting, then one can be saved from the degradation of wrath by spiritual attachment. And then he says how the spiritual Supreme Personality of Godhead is fully spiritual bliss, and he is Anandamayo Bhyasat. So the origin of everything is in Supreme Brahman. So the origin of lust is also in the Supreme. It is therefore if therefore lust is transformed into love for the Supreme or transformed into Krishna consciousness, or in other words, desiring everything for Krishna, then both lust and wrath can be spiritualized. So then he gives the example of Hanuman and Arjuna himself. And what are the different degrees? Can we do this? Is it something that is possible for a human being to do this? This is the answer for this. As fire is covered by smoke, as mirror is covered by dust, or as the embryo is covered by the womb, the living entity is similarly covered by different degrees of this lust. So, fire covered by smoke, we can see, sometimes we don't see the fire in the yajna, and by simply the manipulation, by fanning the spark, okay, then the fire gets ablaze. But when the mirror is covered by dust, just by fanning will not work. One has to cleanse the dust out. And when the embryo is covered by the womb, it's a helpless situation. So, embryo covered by the womb, these are the different degrees of lust covering the living entity. Embryo covered by the womb denotes the plants and the trees, which they are in one place. Okay, nothing much their consciousness cannot be evoked that much. Mirror covered by dust refers to the animal body. It can be done by some work, but not that much like a human being. So fire covered by smoke refers to the body of a human being. So that means this spiritual awakening can be done only in the human form of life, which is very rare. Durlabam Manusham Janma. Although it is temporary, it is very meaningful. That's what Prahalad Maharaj says. Why? Because one can make a solution out of the cycle of birth and death, understanding where he belongs to in the human form of life only. So Krishna consciousness is for all human beings. So that is see. Therefore, the human form of life is a chance for the living entity to escape the entanglement of material existence. In the human form of life, one can conquer the enemy lust by cultivation of Krishna consciousness under able guidance. We have some examples of animals also being Krishna conscious. We have seen Gajendra and others. Okay, but not that much. And trees, maybe, Siddha Bakul, the tree under which Haridas Thakur chanted, maybe to that level of Haridas Thakur's chanting, and that tree which happened to hear it may attain perfection. So the human form of life, we should, take it up very seriously. And there is a hope for us to convert this lust to love, and by positively engaging ourselves in the service of the Lord, whatever the activities may be, and slowly transferring ourselves from the mode of passion to goodness. So he's concluding that on the other hand, if we keep on satisfying this lust or wanting oneself, everything for oneself, it burns like fire. There is no end to it. Okay, but there is some feeling of happiness, but that itself is the ultimate enemy, because for the feeling of happiness, we get entangled more and more. And where is this lust situated? Because as a teacher, he's telling where is the enemy, like a military commander, right? So he's telling where the enemy is there: senses, mind, and intelligence. The enemy has captured different strategic positions in the body of the conditioned soul, and therefore Lord Krishna gives hints of those places so that one who wants to conquer the enemy may know where he can be found. So he says that with the help of spiritual power, okay, one can direct this whole hierarchy. Hierarchy is the senses are beyond dull matter, and the mind is beyond the senses, and intelligence is beyond the mind. Like suppose someone says us, I'll give you $2 million, give me your kidney. Okay, unless and otherwise, I mean, very rarely we would do. But if they say, the choice between give your kidney or, I mean, there are at least 2 kidneys and, one is enough and people may donate kidneys. But what about eyes? There are 2 eyes, you can see with one eye, donate me with one eye. No. So with this example, we see that the senses are um, higher. The senses are higher than the dull matter. Mind is higher than the senses. And intelligence or the driver supposed to drive the mind, and based on the place where this passenger had to go. The passenger had to tell the driver, go here, and the driver should be able to control through the reins the horses, and it should go where it has to go. But if the passenger doesn't know where I have to go, so what happens is among this, the horsepower. Okay, the horse is the most powerful thing. That's why we compare it to the horsepower. So senses become strong. So senses pull us wherever there is some gratification. So each horse pulling in one side, and then this intelligence, the driver will fall over because he has no control. I mean, the reins are thin. If he doesn't know how to maneuver, then definitely he's falling down. So that's what has happened in our position now, that the senses are pulling us here and there. Mind is also constantly listening to the senses. Okay, let's do this, let's do that. Although the mind is the leader, the team member is more powerful, and the mind is being misled, and intelligence is topsy-turvy, as though non-existent, and the soul is completely bewildered. So he says, by spiritual knowledge, by the strength of the spiritual knowledge, this hierarchy can be controlled. The soul, if it is a lusty intelligence, it acquires a lusty intelligence, then it engages the mind and senses for lusty sense gratification. But if the soul is having spiritual intelligence, that where I am supposed to go after this, then deliberate on that. Intelligence means understanding through Bhagavad Gita. Krishna also says that one who studies the sacred conversation of mind is worshipping me by his intelligence. And then the intelligence tells the mind, shh, do what I say. If you don't do mind, if you listen to Bhagavad Gita and also listen to the TV, this is what will happen. So then the mind is pulled by the intelligence not to engage the senses into things that is detrimental for oneself. So Krishna is giving this hierarchy, and then he says the last shloka is evam budve param budva. So knowing this, oh Arjuna, so he says, in the very beginning, curb this great symbol of lust by regulating the senses. What if in the beginning we did not curb? Prabhupada gives the consolation in the purport. Wherever we start with, okay, from that point of time, if we are engaged in Krishna consciousness, then we will get love for Godhead. See, nonetheless, Krishna consciousness is so powerful that even a late beginner can become a lover of God by following the regulative principles of devotional service. So, from any stage of life, or from the time of understanding its urgency, one can begin regulating the senses in Krishna consciousness, devotional service of the Lord, and turn the lust into love of God, the highest perfection stage of human life. So, then he explains this hierarchy, and then एवं बुद्धे परम बुद्ध्वा संस्तभ्यात्मानम् आत्मना जहि शत्रुं महाबाहो कामरूपं दुराशदम्. Thus, knowing oneself to be transcendental to the material senses, mind, and intelligence, O mighty armed Arjuna, one should steady the mind by deliberate spiritual intelligence, Krishna consciousness, and thus by spiritual strength conquer this insatiable enemy known as lust. So, Prabhupada says, one may not give up work and prescribed duties all of a sudden. But by gradually developing Krishna consciousness, one can be situated in a transcendental position without being influenced by the material senses and the mind, by steady intelligence directed toward one's pure identity. This is a sum total of this chapter. One line. Okay, in the immature stage of material existence, philosophical speculations and artificial attempts to control the senses by the so-called practice of yogic postures can never help a man towards spiritual life. He must be trained in Krishna consciousness by higher intelligence. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to the third chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of karma yoga or discharge of one's prescribed duty in Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Hare
Jai.
Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji, for the very, very nice class. It was so nicely covered, all the purports and every single thing that Prabhupada has emphasized on directly from the purports you have covered with the slides and with Veda based. Thank you so much. The flow was very beautiful. Thank you so much, Mataji, for covering the entire third chapter in so much detail. Hare Krishna. Grateful.
Thank you, Mataji, for this creating such services and giving us opportunity to engage in the service of the Lord. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Danvat Pranams. If not a problem, can you please read that conclusion, which you said the summary of the whole chapter, if you don't mind, Mataji?
Yeah, it's so nice, right? Prabhupada's lines are, here. Every last purport, Prabhupada kinds of summarizes the chapter's essence. The shloka, the purport of the last shloka. One may not give up work and prescribed duties all of a sudden, but by gradually developing Krishna consciousness, one can be situated in a transcendental position without being influenced by the material senses and the mind, by steady intelligence directed toward one's pure identity. This is the sum total of this chapter.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji. It was a very, very beautiful class, Mataji. Although, we are kind of familiar with Bhagavad Gita, there's always so much new to learn. And you bring forth so many new aspects of the chapter, Mataji. Thank you so much. And I just had one quick question. So we just perform our prescribed duties, under like the guidance of our guru. And so that's what this chapter is about, right? I mean,
Yeah.
okay.
I mean, once Urmila Mataji answered this question, I mean, she and she's going to write a book about what is prescribed duties according to one's Nate Swabhava, and how to choose different careers based on our nature, and then how we can, offer it to the Lord like that. Hopefully, as time pass by, even we can get some guidelines there also. But as of now, wherever we are, I mean, whatever we are given the duties to do, so we would That's what Krishna says, that offer it as a sacrifice to me. Then that's the way to work, so that doesn't give any reaction. That's my understanding as well.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much. I
Thank you.
remember Mataji had shared Varnashrama, especially for women. Like I had this question, I know, like 8 or 10 years back. She had shared a document which outlined like what was women's Varnashrama historically, and what can they do now and things like that. I'm happy like it's going to come out in a book form. So it's nice.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you.
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Vinita Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Komadiki Mataji is on video. Mataji might be speaking. Komadiki Mataji. Mataji, can you please unmute? Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Lalitangi Radha.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Very nice, very explain everything and very nice. Yeah, I have to hear it again, listen to again. It's very nice. And if anybody has any question,
Yeah. Hare Krishna, Lalitangi Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you so much, Mataji, for such a very great detailed third chapter summary. I really like the way you went into the Veda base and showed us, and you brought up read some lines from the purport and directly explained from there. It really makes us to feel like go through the third chapter, because we read through the purports also few lines. Thank you so much, Mataji. Every time you give the summary, it's again a different flavor, different taste. Thank you so much, Mataji. Thank you so much, Hare Krishna. Very grateful to you. Hari Bol.
Thank you, Mataji. Yeah, I mean, Prabhupada's words and purports is like we can read again and again and derive new meanings out of it that enriches our sadhana and everything. So I just shared, Mataji, whatever few things that we can read from. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji.
thank you, Mataji. So by your permission, we can end the call.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you
Thanks to
very
all the
much.
devotees.
Please give us your association more often. And thank you very much.
By your blessings, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
I would say give it every day. At least. Okay. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripasindubhyasya patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavendra Ananta Koti Vaishnavendra ki jai.
Jai.
Namacharya Haridas Thakur
Jai.
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 and all the assembled devotees ki jai.
Jai.
And whoever listens, jai jai.
Hare Krishna. Thank
Hare
you,
Krishna.
Mataji. I mean,
Radha Mataji ki
HG
jai.
Thank you so much,
Lalitangi
Mataji.
Dasi ki jai ho.
Thank you, Mataji.
we can, I can talk, Mataji, but Kaumodiki Mataji, you are living Bhagavad Gita. So, we all need your blessings.
I'm not doing anything. Whatever I do in this introduction is also I'm not doing good.
No, Mataji, you're just by your example, we are enlivened and we are so fortunate. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Because of the Bhakti Sangha, whatever I do is I'm doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol. Thank you.
Thank you,
Komadiki
HG Lalitangi
Mataji.
Mataji.
Thank you,
Koti Koti
Lalitangi
Dandvat
Mataji.
Pranam.
Very
Hare
nice
Krishna.
class,
HG
Mataji.
Lalitangi Gopi Koti
Ki
Koti
jai.
Dandvat
Hare
Pranam. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
beta.
Nice hosting, Komadiki Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Komadiki Mataji was busy yesterday and she called up me, said that I am busy in serving proper disciple. Then I said, Mataji, you do tomorrow. Mataji is ready to do today. She don't want to miss her service. Thank you, Komadiki Mataji, for being a great example for all of us. Thank you so much.
Yeah, yesterday Prabhupada's disciples Kalakant Guru
Wow.
started the Krishna house and now he's expanding and everywhere. So in Baltimore also it's going to start here. beginning like that. So it's very nice. Maybe we can sometime get his association on Bhakti Sangha. So everybody also in there surrounding can become inspired and do that. It's very nice. So many he has disciples now, and he has also there are so many, and it's always busy in there. But he said that he will come more often here also to guide. So it would be nice, maybe somebody may also can become inspired by his talk. It's very nice. And he also he did the Bhagavad Gita, and now he did
It's a song.
the God who dances.
The God who dances. His poems are so good, Mataji. The whole Bhagavad Gita in a poem form.
Yeah. Very nice. And this is from the...
What is that book name, Mataji, in the poem form? What is that book name?
Both Bhagavad Gita also. Okay.
The God who dances, or
God who dances.
Dancing, yeah.
And this is
it available online, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji. I think so. We personally got it from him in
Amazon.
Sadhu Sangha. And it's very simple poems. The whole Bhagavad Gita. So nice.
And this is Bhagavad Gita. Then we had, and he came in, he also gave me today the God who dances.
The God who...
There was one person, I don't know who that was, that he said, I will believe that there is God if he dances. The God has to dance for them, then he can believe. So that's why he gave that title, the God who dances.
Yeah.
Very nice. We had very nice time yesterday. So many questions and answers, and so many, only family members, nobody else. When one devotee came, his disciple with him. But then very nice prasadam we had. And it was nice. He liked the prasadam. And I didn't cook because I was going to make common dokna. So I soaked the dal. But then my daughter said, you won't be able to do it. So then she had her sister make the dokra, common dokra, and also make a lapsi. I don't know if you can understand about it. It's a cracked wheat, sweet made with a cracked wheat. It was very nice. And also then Bhanuja made rice, dal, sabji. And I only did the ginger, I prepared the ginger pieces and the popper. That's all I did. They did so much work. But it was nice. They liked it.
Mataji, what ginger pieces you made? Like, is it like special or?
They peel the ginger and then cut in small pieces, very small, like this. So you can just you can just take little like, or you can put it into roti and rolling up, and then take also sometimes.
Oh, raw ginger, you mean? Okay.
Yeah, raw ginger.
Sure, Mataji.
Sometimes it's difficult to take that as it is. It's very hot. So then this way it helps, to take with the roti side like that and roll it, and then it helps in digestion and also overall very good. Okay, I'm taking so much time up.
Thank you, Mataji, for sharing what you did yesterday. Hare Krishna.
I have his number if some Bhakti Sangha coordinator wants to call him and for the class, invite him. I don't know.
Sure, Mataji, I will contact you and I'll give it to Sham Gauri Mataji so that she can plan. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mataji. We can close the call here. Vanchakalpatarubhyasya kripasindhubhyo cha patidanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Lalitangi Radha Mataji ki jai.
Prabhupada ki jai. Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.